Hey guys, how's it going? Today I'm going to be talking about my opinion on us teaching 8 to 12-year-olds to worship the blood god. Yeah, that's right, I'm talking about Warhammer Adventures. Okay, so all joking aside, well, really there's probably going to be some joking in here. It's kind of hard to resist. It's just asking for it, right? I mean, it's there. I'm gonna take it. Anyway, this is, in case you don't know, in case you haven't been on a nerd website in the last couple days, Warhammer Adventures is Games Workshop's announced young adult books for kids ages 8 to 12. Both boys and girls can read about either a story that takes place in the Warhammer 40k universe or a story that takes place in the Age of Sigmar universe, the fantasy version. And I'm just going to read how they describe the Warhammer 40k version. It reads, "Life in the 41st millennium is hard. Ruled by the Emperor of Mankind from his golden throne on Terra, humans have spread across the galaxy, inhabiting millions of planets. They have achieved so much, from space travel to robotics, and yet billions live in fear. The universe seems a dangerous place, teeming with alien horrors and dark powers, but it is also a place bristling with adventure and wonder, where battles are won and heroes are forged." Now, taking off the Warhammer IP on this, that sounds pretty nice. I dig that. As an 8-year-old, I would have loved that. That sounds perfect, right? I mean, that sounds like perfect sci-fi, fantasy, classic young adult stuff, and there are a billion other books like that, but they're not in the Warhammer IP, and Games Workshop wants to resolve that. And I can understand that. From the perspective of the business, I think it makes sense, at least short term. Right? You want to start introducing people in a very streamlined and solid way that you can benefit from, right? And especially this 8 to 12. 8 to 12 is kind of too young for them to be buying this plastic crack, these miniatures, and playing the tabletop game, right? They can help paint it. They can maybe even play it a little bit with, family and friends. I mean, I'm not saying they can't do that, but they can't buy an army and field it, and it's just too advanced for that, right? That's more of a 14 and up, I feel. I think 14 is kind of the lower limit there, though you might start to get interested a little bit before, depending on, where you're at as a kid. And so I get trying to streamline that, right? They can benefit from it. They can seep it into culture more, and tons of stuff does that. Star Wars does this, of course. I mean, you get that Spaceball scene where it's, Spaceballs the toilet paper. This is like Warhammer 40k, the young adult books, or, but do we need Warhammer 40k lunchboxes in schools? Do we need, lines about heretics on composition notebooks? Do we need a little Space Marine helmet eraser caps? Yes, we do. That'd be really cool, actually. That needs to be a thing. But anyway, this is where it gets kind of hard, right? Because you look at like Star Wars or even like Jurassic Park and all this stuff that they try to, E.T. and stuff like that. They always try to get these classics and incorporate it into culture from a young age, so you grow up just kind of having it in your life, right? That's the whole idea. So eventually you grow up and actually buy the plastic crack. You buy the, $1,000 army and field it against your other, friends in some store somewhere. And I get that, right? The problem is this is a bit different because Warhammer literally invented grimdark. Warhammer is dark. It puts dark to shame. Dark is afraid of grimdark, right? I mean, this is like, dark needs a nightlight for this junk. This is nasty, mean, messed up, dark world, dark themes, dark stories. It's a messed up world and a messed up IP that I personally like. I find it fascinating, and I've liked it since I was a teenager, right? I think it's great stuff. The question is whether or not we need to incorporate kids in it this way, or whether they just need to find out with their nerd friends around 14, right? Where they split their allowance to buy, some Space Marines or whatever. And I'm kind of conflicted in this. And I think a lot of people are, which is why there's so much discussion on this, right? It's why you can see Engadget and Polygon articles about this stuff. I mean, first of all, it's great they're even talking about Warhammer. That's cool, I guess. And it's not just like even making fun of it. It's just like, hey, this is kind of a weird situation here. So let's kind of, I guess, dissect my opinions on this. Okay, so on one hand, it makes corporate sense, at least short term. It makes sense to try and incorporate people and benefit from that and really dive into this really lucrative, kid genre, right? And that makes sense. On the other hand, with this grimdark, you got to worry about diluting how people view Warhammer, right? Unlike Star Wars, which is more kid friendly, even Jurassic Park, which as long as your kids are, not scared, it's pretty okay too, right? This has a whole different level of maturity than that, right? And so it kind of, it muddles how you view it, right? That being said, and that's where a lot of people have a problem with it, right? They want their grimdark, they want it, adults only, with, the nudity and the gore and the violence and the mature themes and all of that still in there. And I get that. And that's not going away, obviously. But here's the thing. I got kids ages 8 to 12, right? And I love sharing IP that I enjoy with them. I enjoy watching, Dragon Ball Z with them, and I enjoy watching Star Wars with them, and reading The Hobbit and The Lord of the Rings to them, and doing all of this stuff that I enjoy, that I liked as a kid, that I like now, and sharing it with them, right? My daughter in particular, you've even seen her on this channel a few times. She's a huge nerd. She's wanting to start painting miniatures. She loves playing board games. I hope to get her into some tabletop games here soon as well, because I want to get back into it myself. I would love to have this expanded on. I want this to be a miniature range. I want you see the art style here? I want that to be a miniature. I want a dumbed down version of the rules that young kids could even play and play with their little figurines. They're, by all means, make them pre-assembled. I don't care, right? So they're not dealing with super glue they can't even buy. Though, the teenagers deal with that already. She would love that. She would love to paint cute little Necrons and cute little space marines and have them fight. She would dig that. That's great. And you know what? I would love for her to be able to. And then as she grows older, she can get, into, tanks and, and avatars and Tyranids and whatever else. I personally don't see too much of an issue with this. With how grimdark it is and how separate these are looking, I think it's fine. I think it's going to be okay. And in fact, I hope I can get some of these for my kids so that, I can either read it to them or they can read it, and I can kind of figure out what the content of these stories are to really see kind of how well this meshes with the IP. Because that's really the only issue here, is because you dumb it down for kids, you got to wonder how much of the rest is dumbed down. How Warhammer is this, right? You can have, the Eternal Emperor all you want, but, it just, we'll see how that works, right? Also, orc pirates could totally still be a thing, and I think orcs don't even need to be dumbed down. They're just awesome anyway. So, anyway, that's my opinion, guys. I don't know if you appreciate this opinion at all, or this video at all. I saw this, and because of, my passion for this kind of industry, and because I have kids, and I think I have a bit of a different opinion because everybody else is just freaking out, and I'm like, whatever, it's a business doing what they do. I'm okay with it. So I would love to know in the comments below what you think. I would love to hear if you think, first of all, this is interesting, whether you knew about this, and what your thoughts are on, kind of this mass market push that a lot of these companies are doing, both tabletop and board game. Anyway, guys, thanks so much for watching, and I'll talk to you real soon.